Welcome to Piece of Us podcast. It is our first episode and I'm so excited. So I am Crystal here and next to me I have my husband.
That would be me. Hi, how are you doing?
You got to say your name.
Oh, my name is Aaron. I thought that wasn't important. My bad.
That's very important. You're very important.
My name is Aaron.
Aaron.
Big A, little A-R-O-N.
All right.
My name is Max.
Max is my son.
He's my son as well,
and
in
then
case there was any question.
Oh, yeah, that too. Definitely that too.
We're starting this off on rumors.
And then our bestie.
I am not her husband.
He is not my boyfriend either.
But
We
we're
boys, we're
friends,
friends,
but we're not
boyfriends. Okay.
There's a little bromance going on across the room, guys.
And I'm Joe. I am Aaron's best friend since back when we were in high school.
Yes. Okay, so I'm really excited because we have been wanting to do a podcast for
a
so
long time.
long.
You ordered these mics like 3 years ago.
I know.
Crazy.
Fun fact,
Finally
these
here.
mics have been sitting in a box for 3 years. It is finally time to break them out, and it is
is.
finally time to do that.
Free the mics. Hashtag free the mics.
I love it because Max he's been the streamer of the family,
yeah.
the one that loves doing lives, and
In fact, he stole one of these mics at one
did.
point for his stream.
I did.
we had to order a fourth one. 'Cause he has one. But he was like, we need to do this. Like, it is so important to get the stories out there. And not just that, but hear all of your guys' stories. We're excited to have you guys on podcasts. We're excited to bring in special guests. And we just have so many fun things planned with it. So I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. This is awesome.
All right, so we're going to start with the very beginning. I mean, kind of the beginning. So I want to tell you guys a quick story about when I first started foster care and what that looks like. So for those of you who are new, I have 16 children, 13 adopted and 3 biological. And so with that, our very, very first foster child, I remember the exact day. Like, it was crazy. It was August 3rd of 2011.
Dang.
I know. That, date stuck in my mind forever.
What time of the day? What time during
Oh,
the
my
day?
gosh. Okay, now you're going to
Do you
quiz me
remember
on
it?
the real stuff. I would say
It was probably like 8:45 at night.
No, it wasn't. It was in the middle of the day. I want to say it was around, 2 or 3 p.m.
Oh, see, that's awesome.
It was still light outside.
When our first foster child came?
Aaron just talked about this morning. His memory is
Yeah.
the
Declining.
freshest sometimes.
So later on, we're going to compare, hey, how did you guys meet? Where was your first date? All that to see where all the details stack up.
Right? We need
Trust
to do the
trust
real.
hers because mine might not be accurate.
So, okay, we heard a knock at the door. And I don't know why. I remember all the little details of it because I think it was so impactful.
Why do I remember it being dark?
I have no idea.
No,
Yeah, I
legit.
remember it being
I
in the
could,
middle of the day.
Because
I
it was
could
a
swear
dark.
the caseworker had something going on, or
No.
it was.
Because I went to Walmart after that. And it was
Yeah, because
so
I was going
light.
to say she gave her a shower and stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, they'll understand further in
Okay.
the story.
That detail's not that important. Okay, so I heard a knock at the door. We opened the door, and there stands a caseworker and a 3-year-old little girl. And she had wildly blonde, she had blonde hair, but here was the thing. She actually had a Walmart bag wrapped around her hair. And she was wrapped in nothing but a towel. She didn't even have clothes on. And I was like, is this real life? Is this really a thing? And
Is this how all foster kids come?
I know.
And
it
how old was she?
Crazy. She was 3. And the caseworker pushed her towards me because she was really scared. She wasn't moving off the front doorstep. So not a hard push, just kind of a, hey, go on in kind of thing. And she was like, and by the way, she has lice.
Ugh.
And I was like, oh no. And so then the caseworker's like, good luck, here's your paperwork, and left. And so I was standing there. I was actually pregnant with Logan at the time. Max and Hallie were really little. And I just remember feeling so scared. And I looked at her and she was feeling so scared. And I thought how sad that moment was because she had felt so alone. Like, and it was kind of a trigger for me a little bit because I remember there's been points in my life. I mean, I was the shy kid that sat in the back of the class, didn't have a ton of friends in school. I know the feeling of alone. And I saw that look on this little girl's face. And in that moment though, I realized not only like my purpose, but also I don't want people in this world to ever feel alone. And I mean, not just that, but the unconditional love and that human connection that all of us need was recognized in that moment. And of course I took action and we put some of Hallie's clothes on her. We took a trip to Walmart. We got a lice
After we
kit.
washed the mayonnaise out of her hair.
Yeah, the caseworker had put mayonnaise in her hair.
What?
Did you know that? Okay, I've tried all the lice kits. This is just kind of on a side thing. I've tried all of the lice kits, and you know what has worked? I don't know if it was some hack I read on Google, and I don't like. I don't know. This is not science, but mouthwash. I'm telling you, I washed her hair in mouthwash and then straightened it with a straightening iron. No more lice.
Really?
Again, it's not science,
Really?
so please don't
Your
go
mileage is
try
over.
that.
You didn't use like a kit?
I tried a
what'd
kit
you
and I
think?
couldn't get
Are
rid
we
of it.
are we talking like Listerine? Are we
Yeah,
talking
like
Crest?
Listerine, the stuff with like the alcohol. I don't know. And
Probably
again,
the alcohol and the heat.
someone out there is probably like, "That's not right. Don't do it." So
This is
don't do
not
it.
advice.
I'm just saying that's what helped. I don't know. Okay, but anyway,
Conditioning treatment is a must afterwards.
yeah, I shampooed and conditioned it a lot. But anyways, but I feel like that is the point of this whole podcast, this whole thing is for all of us to feel a little less alone, a lot more connected, and learn how to unconditionally love each other. Because I feel like at the end of the day, all we have is human connection. And so Aaron's reaching out his hand. Oh, we're having a little kumbaya moment. I love that. But yeah, so one of the things I want to do is we actually have a website and you can go on there. And if you specialize in an area, if you have questions about things, topics, different things, please shoot those over to us through the little form on there. You'll see it under the podcast section. And I'm so excited to have you guys as guests and have everyone just be on here and spreading their knowledge and what has helped them in their lives and for all of us to feel a little less alone. So,
Like what kind of specialties are you talking about?
I mean, trauma therapists, I would love to have a trauma therapist on here. The one I actually worked with, I'm going to be reaching out to him to see. But if you specialize or if you've been through foster care, if you know ways to get through it, if you yourself have been through therapy, I think that is so amazing and you learned something that can help somebody else. I just want people on here that are real and that are going to really share their stories and really make a difference in this world. And I think that's what it's about. Okay, so I want to share another story. This one's kind of crazy, just on basically how my first real experience, let's say, of being naive. I was very naive, I think, back in the day. I just felt like everyone should love each other, and I feel like I lived in this bubble for the longest time.
I don't think it was your first experience being naive. I think this is just your first experience in the
Yeah,
foster world.
I don't know if naive is the right
Well,
word.
maybe not naive. Maybe not naive. Maybe I just want to look and see the best in everybody, I guess, you know? So I had this situation where we had our YouTube channel going for a little bit, and I had a girl reach out to me through email, and she was like, "Hey, like I'm pregnant, and I was wondering if you would adopt my baby." In essence, that's what the email said. And I was like, no, like we weren't adopting at the time, but not just that, like, I mean, who sends an email like, will you adopt? Like, and I get reaching
Do you
out.
think it
and
was
I feel
because we
that.
were like more popular on YouTube? Do you think that's why she sent the email to us?
I think she was feeling a connection, yes, through our YouTube videos. I think she felt
Almost like a
connected.
parasocial relationship type of thing.
Yes, very much so. I think that she felt connected. I think she felt she could trust me. And so she, I think, was wanting my guidance on it. And so I had wrote her back like, hey, like, I don't know about me adopting, but I'm willing to help you. Like, let's talk, let's connect. I actually gave her my phone number. And we started talking back and forth, and we would FaceTime, and she would send me ultrasound pics. And my intentions in the beginning was to just help her, to help her figure out whether she wanted to keep the baby, whether it was best for adoption, or whether in general, if she needed someone to find, someone to adopt the baby, like all of that. I was just like, I can really help her. And
She
so,
had mentioned in her emails that her living environment was not safe.
yes.
And so the initial thought was, how do we help get her to a safe place?
Yes, very much so. I was like, it is important that you are safe.
Yeah.
And I think that again is kind of a little bit of a trigger for me, just seeing kids come from foster care and all of that. It's like, okay, I just want everyone to be safe. And there's a lot of people that aren't safe in this world, and it's a scary, scary thought for sure. So with that, we talked for months. Like, this was a long, I mean, not long, I guess, in the essence of a relationship, but I felt like it was a long time that we were talking back and forth. And then finally we got to a point where I was like, like, maybe I should adopt this baby. Like, maybe this was a way, maybe this was God, or maybe, you know what I mean? Different things just fell into place that I'm like, maybe this was meant to be. And at that point, I was still like cautiously optimistic. And we usually don't talk about anything on our YouTube channel until we're like, for sure. But then on the other end, we're filming a lot of times our daily lives, so we don't know what tomorrow's going to hold for us. So it's kind of a hard thing to juggle, but we decided to announce it on our channel because we felt like we were there. Like, we felt like, okay, this is all fell into place. And she had asked us to come to Tennessee to find out the gender with her and to go to the ultrasound with her. And so I was super excited to go to this ultrasound, and she's like, can we do like a little gender reveal thing afterwards? And just really wanted us to be a part of it. She said she didn't have anybody else to go with her to it and all of that. So I was I don't know, I was excited. So we called up Joe, and I was like, Joe, we going to Tennessee.
Sweet. All right. Why am I going to Tennessee? I mean, I'm down, I'm in, but why?
I've only ever flown over Tennessee. So was Tennessee good? Do you guys like Tennessee?
Oh, it's so beautiful there.
It was
Like,
beautiful.
so beautiful.
We went right around, it was November, if I remember right, time of year.
I think it might have
Might have
in
been actually
December.
early December.
Yeah,
Like
it
Early
was
December,
December.
November, somewhere
First
where
week
it
of
was not
December.
full-blown winter yet. It was still fall. A lot of the color was gone, but just what was still left was absolutely beautiful. And, you could imagine, wow, even with a lot of the trees already having lost their leaves, just how beautiful the place would have been. It was awesome. The people there were super kind, it was great.
It was a credible experience.
The first day there, we went to this amazing English restaurant around the corner from our hotel. Literally the best fish and chips I've ever had in my life.
It was a British pub that
Yeah.
had amazing fish and chips.
It was so good.
Not a place I
That's-
would have pictured for fish and chips. Kind of an aside, but Tennessee had great.
Right?
Fun fact about that. That's actually when I learned that fish and chips were not potato chips. That's actually fries. I
never had
learn
fish
that
and
till
chips
that
before.
experience.
She's looking, going, where's my potato chips?
Where's my
Why'd they give me
chips?"
fries? Like,
Yeah.
so there was a lot of learning done on this trip.
There was a lot of learning experiences from it for sure.
But yeah, you had invited me.
So I'd invited Joe just because we weren't sure about the situation. I thought it would be fun to take a trip all together, but also he could be a third party that's kind of from an outside perspective that wasn't emotionally connected or emotionally into the situation. And he was kind of our voice of reason, because sometimes we all
Whoa.
need that in our lives.
Wow, you're in a weird spot when I'm the voice of reason. But no, it was very good, because that was kind of one of those, like, all right, I knew the scenario, I kind of knew what was going on, but I'd never talked to the girl. I was a little bit skeptical about you guys getting more kids at that point, going, you already have enough. How many did you have at that point?
I think we had 11 at that point.
Yeah, because we had Luke and Savannah at that point.
No,
didn't
we didn't.
No.
Really?
This was
Yeah.
probably,
This was before Luke and Savannah.
Yeah.
so yeah, this was the December before they came.
Yeah.
So this was a good 8 months before they came.
And so I just kind of was there to look at it, maybe look at it without, because there's that side that you're like, hey, I really want this to work out. I'm looking at it going, okay, I would like this to work out for you, but I want to go in more as almost a consultant type thing, just to look at it and say, hey, let me look at it from different, vantage points to see, is this everything it's made out to be.
Yeah.
I think the interesting to note is we had gone through multiple adoptions at this point, but they were always adoptions from foster care. So it was never like a private adoption, had no idea really what that process would look like or what that would entail.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we get out to Tennessee and we're so excited. I'm so looking forward to this ultrasound. So we drive from where we are staying over to the doctor's office, and this was right in the middle of COVID. And so the doctors weren't allowing people to come into the waiting room. And so the girl had told me, like, hey, my doctor won't let you in the waiting room, but they said that I can call you as soon as I go back into the ultrasound room and that you can come in and be a part of the ultrasound and all of that. And I was like, okay, totally makes sense. Totally get it. Like, there's a lot going on, you know what I mean? And that. So we waited in the parking lot what felt like forever.
Well, it took them, we were supposed to meet at a certain time there, and I think she was about 30 minutes late even to that appointment.
Yeah, she was late, and then it was like we waited there, and finally we're sitting in the car, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go in. Like, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna talk to the front desk, I'm gonna wear a mask, like, we're gonna be safe about this. But I was like, maybe if I tell them the situation, they'll let me sit with her until she goes back to her appointment. And so I started going in, and as I got into the doctor's office, there I see her sitting in the corner of the doctor's office, and you can tell she was really upset. And I was like, what's going on? So I immediately walked over to her and I said, hey, like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? And she's like, they already did the ultrasound. And I was like, wait, what? And she's like, it went really fast. They took me back there. They did the ultrasound. And then she had a card in her hand and she was like, they wrote it all on this card. And I've had enough pregnancies and all of that. I've done, had 3 of my own, and then I've done 3 surrogacy pregnancies. So I know kind of how they work. I mean, during COVID, I didn't. So I was like, at that point, like, okay, maybe that is true. Maybe it's not. I was just kind of taken back. But we go back out to our car. I have the card in my hand. I hand it to Joe because Joe was going to decide which, color of smoke that we did off with the blue or the pink.
We were doing a gender reveal, and so I was
Yeah.
going to be the only one who actually got to know, other than her. Actually, no, I think at that point she didn't even know.
Yeah.
I was going to be the only one who would actually know what it was, so I got to choose the thing and set it all up.
So he opens this card, and it's not like a doctor's office like card would have there. And there was no ultrasound picture, and it just was a card that you'd almost get from like a Dollar General, and it just said "It a boy."
It a boy,
It a
and it was
boy.
written in it was written in like a crayon or a colored pencil or something, and the handwriting on it looked like a child's handwriting.
Yeah. So in that moment,
I immediately went, "Whoa!"
and I remember like Joe looking over at me, and you can tell like, and I don't know exactly what you were feeling in that moment, but I could tell that you felt so bad, and you just looked over at me, and you were like, "Something's not right, Crystal." And I was like, what's not right? Like, what do you mean? But I was kind of feeling that same way. So I think you were just like validating what I was already feeling. But you were like, it's just, there's something not right. And at that point, though, the girl is in our car and we're headed over to a park to do the gender reveal. So we're all thrown off, like, in how we're feeling. And I'm trying to remain positive because I'm usually like, even when a bad situation happens, I'm like, let's
Gotta
look at the
stay
good in
positive,
it. Like,
yeah.
look at this
You are
beautiful
one that
park.
can always find the best in a situation.
Ever the
I do
optimist.
love that about you.
There was deer in the park that were beautiful. Like, we were
Crystal
seeing.
tried to pet him.
We see these deer, and she is just going nuts on them. And what were we driving? We were in the Tesla.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever drove a Tesla. We were going on a cool, fun trip, and I'm like, hey, I want to try this Tesla thing out. Let's give it a go. So yeah, we were in a Tesla. So it was nice because it was all quiet. As we're driving up to these deer, it's like a silent car. It's not making this huge, engine noise. But Crystal's all like
I was stealth
quietly
walking.
opening the door, getting out of the car, just tiptoeing over,
And then they all take off
and then
running.
they take off running.
I was like, dang it, I just wanted to pet a deer. I'd never pet a deer before.
I don't
I
think
took
very
that
many
back
people
at the
have.
zoo. At the zoo. I actually pet one time. One tried to eat Hallie's shoelace.
Oh yeah,
At the
I have
zoo?
that picture somewhere.
Okay.
I mean,
so
these are wild deer. They see you
know.
coming, and they are long gone.
Yeah, they're fast too. Holy cow.
But
Yeah.
you tried 3 or 4 times, but so we
Yeah.
kind of were having some fun. It was definitely a really weird feel, and we couldn't totally say everything because she was with us, and so all I could kind of was glances when we could.
Yeah.
But we were still, and that energy, we could feel the energy was off, but we were still having fun, and we were doing that, just trying to make it.
Yeah,
most of the
so we do the gender reveal, and I'm just thinking in my head like something's not right. We still go ahead and do the gender reveal. We do the whole thing. We get back to the hotel from there, and I sat down with Aaron and Joe, and we were all like, "Hey, we're all feeling the same way. Like something isn't right." And still to this day, I actually don't know exactly what happened. I would love to reach out to her and actually figure that out because my theory is that she wasn't even pregnant.
Let's get her on the podcast.
Right? I'm gonna reach out to her. I don't even think she was pregnant, but I maybe she was, and she had an early, miscarriage, but wanted to continue that relationship, or there was something else going on, and maybe I don't know. I
It's just
honestly
weird that
don't
she was
know.
sitting in like the back of the doctor's office because that to me thinks like she just went and sat back there for the entire time you waited
I do think that. I don't
and
think
then
she had an
printed out a
ultrasound.
picture.
Yeah. Oh, I had asked her, like, where's the ultrasound picture? Because they always print off, you know what I mean? All the different ultrasound pictures. And she's like, oh, they wouldn't print them. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go back into the doctor's office and ask them to print me one because I would like to have,
She was
especially if we're
very
going to
insistent
adopt.
to not have you do that.
Yeah.
too.
And she was like, no, like, you can't, like, they're not going to do that. They won't do that. I don't want to make them upset.
She was worried about upsetting the doctor, and
Well, and
Yeah.
I mean, the reason for the frustration at that point too was the sole purpose of the trip was for that event right there to go do
Yeah.
the ultrasound to be able to see the ultrasound and all that with her. That was the plan going into it that she had
Right.
made with you.
Like I had I'd flew halfway across the United States in hopes to go to this ultrasound.
And then we had to drive a
so-
couple hours even outside of
Yeah.
yeah,
outside
she
of the
lived probably an
airport.
hour outside of Nashville.
I will say I was very disappointed, like that I didn't get to go to the ultrasound, but I was trying to not let that cloud my judgment of like being disappointed compared to like what we were going through in that situation. And so as we went through that whole thing and then we flew home, I just knew that was not supposed to be my baby, if there was even a baby. I mean, I didn't know you can be adoption catfished, but I'm pretty sure I got adoption catfished. Pretty sure that happened to me. And I'm not one of those people, like, I'm one of those people that watch Catfish, and I'm like, how did you not see that coming?
Yeah.
Like, I'm one of those people that are like logical in like that aspect. Like, if they wouldn't FaceTime you for a whole 3 years, don't you think something is wrong? But I totally got sucked in that moment. But so we had to do a video like, hey, we don't feel right about the situation. We're not adopting. I didn't know if she was pregnant or not at that point. I had a feeling she wasn't. I sent her, a message and I said, yeah, I don't feel right adopting the baby. And she even kept on from there. Well, what am I going to do? I was like, I will help you. Like, I'll still be by your side. Like, I'll even come to the birth. It's just not me. Like, I'm not meant to adopt this baby. And so at that point, we both kind of like ghosted each other, to be honest.
You just stopped talking.
Like, we just kind of stopped talking. I think that she probably we knew something was off. Obviously, we knew something was off. And it just kind of wasn't a good situation. But so the cool thing about it though, please don't give her any hate or anything. She was going through a really, really hard time in her life. She had a lot of mental health things going on. She had a really terrible, home life. And so I honestly think it was a really great relationship that we were able to build, and I was able to help her overcome some situations that she went through, and she would call me and we would talk for hours, and so I think that relationship was a good relationship to help both of us at the time. And the really cool part of this whole thing though is we would actually not have my 2 kids, Lucas and Savannah, had it not been for that situation. And so we decided a few months after that whole situation happened, we decided to reopen our license and adopt again. We were just feeling like pulled towards it. We knew there were kids out there that were meant to be ours. And a caseworker called me and she said, I saw your video where you said you were deciding not to adopt the baby. And she said, in that video, you talked about that you didn't get a good feeling from it and you didn't, all of that. And she's like, I knew because of that video that you were meant to have these 2 kids. So, how cool of a situation, though. Even though I got adoption catfish and it was this wild adventure, I wouldn't have my 2 kids that I have today without her. So, I'm actually incredibly thankful for her and for that situation and just everything we went through with that. That's why I say don't give her hate, because Lucas and Savannah wouldn't be in our lives without her. And so I just think that it was all meant to happen the way that it happened. And maybe naive wasn't the right,
Yeah, I
word
don't
in the
think that-
beginning,
yeah.
because it wasn't naive. I think it was hopeful. And it was, I
It
don't
was
know.
eye-opening,
It was
too.
eye-opening. And I learned so much from that. And I'm so grateful.
I think that was the thing for me, is like I was hopeful that it was real, that we would get the baby out of it. But at the end of the day, I think I was realistic enough to think that this could happen, but I still wanted to see if that possibility was there.
Yeah, for sure.
I like you, I knew that we were meant to have more kids. I knew that more kids were coming to us, and this might be the situation where that happens, but
Well, we wanted the scenario, we wanted it to work out if we could. At dinner the night before, we're there and she's like, oh, it's kicking. And like, can you feel it? And I think you were
Yeah.
feeling her indigestion.
I was like, maybe, yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't think I was feeling it, guys. I thought I was feeling it, but I wasn't.
It was the
I
Mexican
don't
food.
know.
when you want something, I think it's easier to see little things that reaffirm what you're wanting, and that can be rough.
I think that's so true. There's so many times in life where, like, I don't know, even like I know this is gonna sound kind of dumb, but here's the reality of it. I didn't really like recognize Teslas for the longest time. Like
Yeah.
I just think I didn't pay attention to them. I didn't notice, but as soon as Aaron started talking about them, all of a sudden I saw Teslas everywhere. Everywhere. And I see them everywhere now. And I'm like, how did I never notice before? But I think that our minds work in a way that we're taking in so much information on a daily basis that we can only process so much. So the stuff that doesn't mean a lot to us, it just rolls right past. And then we just don't even notice that it's there until we're really looking for it.
And you're such a positive person that I feel like when there are sometimes people's flaws, different things like that, you choose not to dwell on those and you try to focus on the positive aspects of people and you want to see the best in everybody. And I think that she may have taken advantage of that a little bit, because anybody that knows you or anybody that's spent any time watching your YouTube channel, I think knows that about you. And so she saw, hey, this is a good way for her to tap into that positivity a little bit. But
Yeah.
do you think she was doing it maliciously?
Not at all. Not at all. I still don't feel that she was malicious.
I think she was struggling mentally.
yeah.
And I think she needed a connection. And I think she took a chance. She sent an email in that time. And it happened to be one that Crystal saw, and it really clicked to her. And then she emailed back, and then that connection was formed. And then they continued that connection by continuing that relationship through email, through text, through talking, because they talked on video chat.
Yeah, we FaceTimed and
Several
all of
times.
that several times.
Yeah.
And so I did feel like I could trust her in a way, but again, it comes back to that connection. Like, I think that she needed that in her life. And I think I was at a point where we get thousands of emails on a daily basis. Like, I'm so bad at emails, and I'm sorry if you've emailed me and I have not responded. And I'm sorry if you've texted me and you know me personally and I have not responded, because I am so bad at it. And it's something I'm working on, guys. I'm really working on at least texting people
I'm
back.
trying to help her to be better.
When I text her, I have to wait like 2 to 3 business days to receive a response.
How many unread texts are on your phone right
You
now?
know what? I have my phone
Yeah,
next
what's
to me.
the
You
what's
want
the
me to tell
notification
you?
thing say?
It's so
It was
bad.
253 last time I looked.
Oh my gosh, this is so bad, guys. 510 unread text messages.
Just text messages?
Just text messages.
Here's the kicker, right?
The
So
email's
she'll get a
worse, isn't it?
text. She looks at the notification in the drop down.
Oh,
So she
yeah.
gets the message, but then she swipes up and doesn't ever actually go into the text to mark it as read.
Yeah, that is true. So I do know most of the texts that come through. But okay, I started that because the kids were always like, you left me on red. And I'm like, oh, your text needed a response? It was just like, it wasn't necessarily like they were asking me a question or it was anything. It was just like a statement like, hey, I did the dishes. Like, and I know I should be like, oh, good job, and give it a thumbs up. Like, I try to do that now, but then I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, and I would just go about my day. But the kids would get mad because you left them on red. And I didn't know what that meant for a long time, but I figured it out pretty quick. But when you draw, like, you drop down and you can see like the little notification, you can read the text without clicking on it. And then they don't think you left them on red.
What they're talking about for all of you Android users out there, I'm one of them, an Android user. Apparently, Apple can show you if they read it or not. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it spiraled into all my text messages, and now it's a problem.
But isn't it
need
crazy that with
intervention.
as intervention needed as you are on all your communications, and like you said, you get thousands of emails.
Yeah.
How crazy was it that, you came across the email from her in the first place, just the road that everything happened to end up with Savannah and Lucas
Very much
in a very
so.
roundabout way. Like, it's definitely was meant to be.
I feel like there's so many things in our lives that have happened that I'm like are devastating situations. Like, for example, going through a miscarriage. And that kind of what started us down our foster care and adoption story was going through a miscarriage. And in that moment, I was so devastated. I cried. It was around my birthday time, and I was like, oh no, like, I don't even want to celebrate my birthday. I don't want to do nothing. Like, I was so depressed. And Aaron was like, maybe let's look into foster care and adoption. And in that moment, like, again, it was really hard, and it gave me a glimpse of hope, and I was like, yeah, let's continue down that path. That's the path we were meant to be on. But none of that would have happened without having a miscarriage. And so I just feel like everything that happens in like a lot of our lives puts you on a path that you're meant to be on. So if you're going through something difficult or going through something hard in your life right now, like, know that there's a lesson to be learned in it, and there's something to overcome, and it's putting you where you're supposed to be as long as you follow that path.
And there may be a person related to that situation that you're going through that you hadn't met before that you're supposed to meet, and that's a new connection, and then this whole new path.
Yeah. One other thing too, when I was really young, so my father passed away when I was 2 from colon cancer. And again, that was a hard situation. I was really young and I didn't understand it. And my mom ended up getting remarried though when I was 11. And she'd only known the guy for like, I don't even know. I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks. I'd have to ask her for exactly because obviously I was young, but it was short. And then all of a sudden she's like, we're getting married. And I'm like, oh, I have a new stepdad. Like, okay, cool. Like, no, it was not cool. He ended up having schizophrenia and ended up being extremely abusive. And I will say, like, in my childhood, probably that is the hardest thing I've ever been through. She was married to him for about 1.5 years, and every day was abuse. And he was angry all the time. We couldn't do anything. And again, me being my little positive self, I was even like that as a kid, guys. I would mess with him, and it was so mean. And I get it now. Like, I've always been really short. And so I would leave the cabinet doors open, and people would walk around the kitchen corner and they would hit their head. And he was really tall, and he would get so mad. And so every day I would go open all the cabinet doors. And I think I was aching and making it worse. But like, to me, I was trying to find like a positive and like a fun thing to do in that bad environment. That's a terrible story. I shouldn't have shared that story.
Sorry.
It was terrible, but like, I don't know why as a kid I thought that was like, oh, like maybe he'll smile, maybe he'll laugh, maybe he'll think this is funny. He didn't. That did not work, so I don't recommend that at all. But it was just a really, really difficult situation. So bad that when my mom decided to divorce him, she had to serve him when we weren't even there. And I remember the day, like, I was sitting in my room and my mom runs in and she's like, Crystal, get your shoes, get in the car. And she's like screaming at me. And I'm like, I don't know where my shoes are, because I lose everything, guys. I have a problem with getting distracted and putting things in random spots. That's why I love the Apple Watch, so I can find my phone all the time. But so anyways, and I ended up not getting my shoes. I ended up just getting in the car barefoot, and we drove to the middle of the desert and just sat there. She just turned off the car. And I was like, why are we in the middle of the desert? And she was like, because, your stepdad is being served divorce papers and it's not safe for us to be there. So we literally just sat in the desert. I don't even know how for long. Like, I probably should ask my mom all these details because they're probably pretty spotty since
Yeah.
I was little. But we ended up going back, and long story short, he did, try to do some really bad stuff, and police had to intervene and all of this different things. But again, going through that situation was extremely difficult in that moment. And it was so hard to get through. And still to this day, Aaron can't even yell at me or I get really, really triggered. I feel bad for him because I'm constantly like, talk to me in a low tone voice. If you're mad at me, like, don't yell at me because I'm still working through the trauma of all that. But it really prepared me for having my foster children. Because I feel like when they talk about abusive situations or talk about things that they've been through and are working through those feelings, I can really step back and be like, I get it. And I actually get it. And I can help them through those traumas and help them. And had I not gone through a situation like that, I would have never been able to really relate and understand. So that's something I went through at 11, and it didn't even come into effect till, I was 23, 24, starting foster care. But I feel like when we're going through those things in life, so we're just not understanding until we really go down the road. And then you're like, now I get it. Now I get why I had to go through that situation. And it was hard, but I made it through it, and I'm stronger because of it. So
Now, here's the thing I think everyone's wondering. Will you guys be adopting again, or do you guys want to adopt again?
ooh, that's a question we get a lot on our YouTube channel for sure. What's the answer?
So I'm torn with this. I
It's a
very
yeah.
much want to adopt.
Do it.
No, I very much want to adopt. I love adopting. I love, growing our family. I don't know if we're ready for it right this moment, but I
The
do
answer
feel
is
in
yes.
the future it's going to happen.
The answer is a yes. So our adoption license is currently open.
You
But
still get calls like, "Can you take this kid?"
I actually do. We
And
get
she
a
gets
calls.
emails constantly.
Oh my gosh,
which
Aaron's
compounds
constant-
other problems.
Aaron's seeing emails come through. He's like, Crystal, why is there some kids' pictures in our email? And I'm like, but I just feel like we won't unless it's the perfect situation for our family. We really felt like, Bella, Liam, and Rylan, which are our last adoptions set of 3 that we adopted, I really felt like they completed our family. And I know a lot of people are like, you can't say that if you're going to adopt again. But no, they were meant to be a part of our family and they really completed us. And not a complete as in oh my gosh, the end of the story. It was just they brought something to our family that no other kid can bring. And I feel like if we come across a child that's meant to be in our family, would we adopt again? Yes. Are we actively searching and going out on websites and trying to find children? No. It would have to be it fell into place and it was just the right situation. And don't send me any emails that are catfishing adoption stories because we're not adopting any children from emails unless
Everything
it's from a
is
caseworker.
everything is solely through the system at this
Yes,
point.
just through foster care. We are not doing any private adoption.
It's interesting that you bring up the end, and how we say things are complete. Life is like a story. It's got chapters. And so I feel like when we say life is, or our family's complete, it's complete for that chapter.
Yeah,
But there's
that's a good
another
way to word
chapter
it.
starting in 6 months, and there may be some extra kids involved in that. So I feel like, please don't hate on us for if we say, oh, our family's complete, and then we say, oh, it's not complete. It was complete in that chapter, but
Yeah. And I feel like right now, though, it's not our focus is our current kids, but it's also on helping other people. And that's why I'm excited about this podcast. That's why I'm excited to be, just here with all of you guys and just really connecting and helping others and all learning and growing together. And so that's what I'm excited about. That's our chapter right now. That's the beginning.
Crystal,
Boom, new chapter open.
you're glowing right now, and I think you have a podcast baby growing right here.
Oh, I have a little podcast baby. I'm just kidding. But a piece of us is definitely my baby, and I'm super excited to help it grow and
So
foster
I
it.
absolutely love this set. What's going on with the plant the
Okay.
styrofoam plate.
Without the pot.
Wow, she just got put on blast.
Okay,
Oh.
here's the thing. I watched an Oprah episode. Yes, I'm a big Oprah fan. I love her. But I watched this episode that she had one time, and she talked about that your home environment should rise up and greet you when you walk in it. And she meant that in a way, it doesn't matter the size of your house or the color or this or that of it or how you decorate or how you don't. It matters what the little things that you have in it. And so I always have these little sentimental things around my house that remind me of situations. Oh, yeah, I have an
An
elephant.
elephant with the price tag still on it. That's funny.
Yeah, that was from Ross recently. I loved it. But so I
Looks
have
good.
all these things, but I have this plant. For those of you who are not on video, I have this plant that is the bottom of it is just styrofoam. And it was in a beautiful white vase. And I bought it. I loved the plant. And then as I was getting it out of my car, I dropped it and it broke the vase everywhere. And at first, I was just going to throw the plant away or find a new vase to put it in. And I was like, but then I was like, it's kind of cool because it reminds me of a situation that, like, even though we're broken or even though different things can happen to you, like, you're still beautiful and you're still amazing. And so now I have this styrofoam piece of plant behind me, but I actually love it. And I don't think I'm ever going to put it in a vase. Like, it's just pretty the way it is. I don't
Like,
know.
and-
Letting it be it.
Crystal is not a hoarder by any
No.
means. That's what's so weird. Like, you can find the positive in anything. It's freakish.
You really can. We
Sometimes it's an issue. I have this little crazy pieces sign, this little wood one in
You're
the
on
back
video.
too. And it got sent to us. It was actually one of the first, like, really when people were sending us fan mail in the mail. And the message in it was like, I carved this just for you out of a piece of wood. And they were starting a business and all of that. And it meant so much to me that they thought of us to put our name on that. And so I thought that was incredible. And we just, have
Yeah,
that
it looks
going.
great.
So yeah, it's getting there. So we are slowly building our set and all of our stuff together. But I'm just really excited to do all of this with you guys. So thank you so much
Super
for
excited.
joining us.
Did you mention crazypieces.com earlier?
Oh, yeah. Well, earlier. So crazypieces.com. You can go to the podcast section and you can fill out a form right there. If you have a question, if you want us to do different things on parenting,
it'll be
like,
in the description.
no
Yeah.
matter what you want. Yeah, it'll be in the description too. But go on it, fill it out, let us know. And if you want to be a guest on it, you can put that on there too. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so
Guys.
much for being a part of all of this. And we're excited for this next chapter.
Do we have like
Let's
an
do
outro
this.
thing we should we do the wave?
I think it should be Aaron dancing. Oh, no, it's a podcast. They can't. A lot of people aren't going to see this, so.
Max is dancing with my little crazy pieces sign, the crazy pieces sign. But all right, well, thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys next time. Peace of Us podcast. Oh, we should say peace.
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 That's fine.
Peace.